coming. I
Thank
can't
you.
see anything else like that. Well, first of all, welcome to Melbourne and buenas
Thank
tardes,
you.
everyone.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to Melbourne for the second time, I believe, in your career.
Yeah, second time, 40 years ago, I was here.
Now, you came with the guitar trio, which I want to kick off with. I was told many stories of how you came about to be part of the guitar trio. Could you please tell us?
Well, it started, let's see, when I was 19, I got the fortunate invitation to join Return to Forever with Chick Corea and Stanley Clarke, Lenny White. And at the time I was at Berklee School of Music. And I think it was the first tour we did of Europe. And when we got to Spain, everybody was talking about this new flamenco guy that just was blowing everybody away. He was kind of like the up and coming, like new sensation over there. So I went to the local department store, El Corte Inglés, and I went to the record department and bought a few of his records. And I went back to the States, and when I played these records, I was just blown away with how he was taking that whole idiom up to another level, and just had it in the back of my mind to do something with him at some point. And that time came when I was planning my second solo album, Elegant Gypsy.
Yep.
And I had my record company contact his record company in Madrid and see if they can have him come over. And they thought it was a great opportunity for him to get exposure in North America. So he came over. He came over, and I didn't speak a word of English, and my Spanish was not good either. So he had a friend of his that came with him, was an interpreter, and he felt really outside of his comfort zone. We were sitting in the studio. This was a Jimi Hendrix studio, Electric Ladyland, and we did maybe 3 or 4 takes, and it wasn't quite there yet. So his friend comes over to me and goes, he whispers in my ear, Paco can't play unless he has weed. So I said, well, I don't really, but wait a minute, I know a friend of mine is in the other room. So this friend of mine went out and got him, 2 feet outside of Electric Ladyland, in the Greenwich Village, everybody's selling pot, right? So Paco, got nice and high, and the first take, that's the one that's on the record. You can hear him at the end going,
Yes, I actually hear that right at the end of the tune. How
you heard that?
Excel. Yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
That's him, and everybody in the control room was high-fiving, It was really a special moment,
Fantastic.
So that piece, surprisingly to both of us, became a hit single, and mostly in Europe, a hit single, but it sold really well throughout the world. And that gave us an idea of, maybe someday. It was more like maybe someday we'll tour. But then we were approached by an impresario who became like one of the biggest promoters in the world. It was his idea to put us together with John McLaughlin, and I said, man, if you get that trio together, the 3 of us, it's going to be explosive, And so this one guy, his name is Barry Marshall, he organized this 2-month tour that started in Scandinavia and went down all the way through Europe, Central and Southern, and then we went over to the States and Australia. I think the second time it was Australia. What year?
The second time around.
Do you remember the year I was here? I don't remember. It was 1980 or 83?
83, I think.
83? Okay, it was the second tour.
Yeah. Now, you put together Saturday Night in San Francisco.
Right. Thank you very much.
How difficult was that? Why did it take so long?
Well, I had all of the tapes, the whole European tour. We recorded nearly all the shows. With recording trucks. So I had all the 2-inch reels. I wound up getting them all because we mixed Friday night in San Francisco in White Plains, New York, which is right across the river from where my house was. And, the studio said to me, hey, what are we going to do with all these tapes? And I knew Paco was going back to Spain and John was living, I think, in France. And so I said, well, I'll take them. You could ship them to me. I'm right across the river. So I wound up with 150 boxes of tapes. So I went through all of those tapes. It wasn't recent that I went through them. I knew I had Saturday Night for a long time, actually. And I approached John's manager, I think midway through, 20 years in, and Paco was just, he was just constantly touring. He wasn't focused on it. But I say, hey guys, I have another night, and I think there's enough material to make another record. But they were too preoccupied, so it never really got off the ground at that time, which was probably, 95 or something, 1995. But I transferred the tapes myself to DAT, just to preserve.
To that.
Yeah, to DAT.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, so I went looking for those DAT tapes in 2020 when we were all secluded in our homes because of COVID.
I get it.
And I couldn't find the DATs anywhere. So, but I had the tape. So then I had the tapes I brought to a studio that professionally bakes them. They bake the tape to preserve the sound. And then we transferred it to Pro Tools. And it turns out that the sound was really great still.
It sounds
40
terrific.
years, which was really remarkable. And then I had it baked a second time at the Skywalker Studios, George Lucas' studio, which they're like the top in the business for restoring videotape for motion picture and also audio. And I spent most of my time with an engineer editing. That took the most time. There's a lot of those pieces that wound up at Saturday Night were really long, super long. So I had to make the sides work for the vinyl, the 33 and the 45, which comes out next year.
Great news.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And you have a